I hope they saw you do All right, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. This is the Southwest U Budget Commission regular board meeting for August the 27th, 2026. Members are, everybody's here except for Graham and Ann at this point in Canterbell. But everybody else is here in the room tonight. Declaration of quorum and acknowledgement of visitors. Everybody's staff, they're not really visitors. So, conflict of interest is your opportunity to declare any conflict of interest tonight and then today's agenda. If not, we're gonna move ahead to adoption of the agenda and I'm gonna go to and Ken.
I would like to approve the agenda, although I would like to add a new item under new business, which is economic development funding for Macadam.
Yeah.
To conduct some studies for the potential of an inland port there. And the amount would be $75,000.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll add that as number one on new business. Because number two is the draft budget, so this would affect the budget, so the proper way to do this would be to add that first and then do the budget second. So we have a motion on the floor by Ken Stanek, so is there a seconder for that? Steve Blackman, sorry? I gotta use your last name. Here we the motion on the floor. Any questions or comments on the motion? You ready for the question? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Commentary, and that's passed. Okay, that brings us to business of adoption of the minutes to the board meeting of July the 23rd. I need a motion to accept. Adopt the minutes. Benny? Seconded by Ken. Oh, sorry. Question or comment on adopting the minutes of July the 23rd, 2026. If you're ready for the question, all those in favor of adopting those minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, that's passed unanimously. That brings us to business arising from previous meetings, which are none. So that brings us down to new business. And the first item on there is the one that Ken has brought forward, economic development funding for Macadam. That's what you'll call it, okay? And I give you the floor, Ken. There you go.
It went a little too quickly there because I'm still got.
Or somebody's still eating.
Well, that, thank you. The reason I've asked to have that item put on the agenda. Economic development for the Regional Service Commission tends to work on studies to promote economic growth within the region. Macadam is in a position where we are being looked at for the positioning of an inland port in New Brunswick. And that will be working in conjunction with the Port of St. John, facilitating St. John's growth. So what I would like to have is $75,000 set aside within the economic development budget for potential studies to help us bring that growth to Macadam and to the region.
Just for the minutes, Bonnie's just entered the meeting. I don't know times. 5:36, 5:48.
Not that late.
They're not. No. Just so everybody knows that you're just giving us. Okay, so Ken, any more explanation on that?
Is there anybody else would need more?
I was just gonna say, just for the point, just because Bonnie just came into it at the tail end, should we not just go through it again, the motion and what was said?
Probably go through what his information.
Just bring it up to speed.
Go ahead.
So basically what I'm asking for is $75,000 to be set aside within the economic development budget for studies that Macadam may need next year to promote Macadam as an inland port. And I believe that the inland port will be a regional benefit and therefore I would like to submit that for approval by the board.
Okay. So, I guess part of the best idea. Motion for this, because we haven't done a motion for, so Ken, you wanna make the motion?
Okay, I'll make the motion that the Regional Service Commission Board support putting $75,000 into the economic development portfolio to support McAdam in its pursuit of new work.
Good. Okay, so I need a seconder for that.
No second.
Okay, just Steve Backens. So we have a motion on the floor, it was a second by Steve Backen. Question. Where's the money?
It's like additional billing to.
Okay, but it comes out of the coming out of the new budget, like the budget we're working on.
So it's not contained within the draft budget that I'm going to present here tonight.
Right,
So it would be in, if we would add it to that budget.
gotcha. Question or comments?
So,
Steve was, he lifted his head, so I've got.
Yeah, I'm just
Steve knew.
trying to wrap my head around the timing of this, like, without having seen what you're about to present in economic development. I'm having a hard time as to whether we want to add another 75K to it or.
So, just so everybody's aware, we've revisited the budget a couple of times. The version I'm going to present tonight has actually got $100,000 taken out of it. That would have reduced it by since the last version you would have seen.
Taken out of economic development or?
Yeah.
And where did that come from? What are we eliminating?
Yeah, this is weird because.
Yeah,
Two different.
that's what I mean.
So-
But it's fair, it's a fair
Made
question.
some changes for one thing to the business summit.
Yeah,
It's going to be a significantly different event. Next year is the intent. And just basically cutting back on some other places where we can find some efficiencies. I can't go into too much more, we're getting into contract stuff, but.
I wanna go to Danny.
so, yeah,
I'd still go back. to-
I guess I had two questions, but just to go off Mayor Neal. So we're taking the money out, but it's with this, if this goes through, this is bringing us back up to where we were. And that was where we were, was part of the growth. So, yeah, so I guess I just struggle with that, and my second one would be, have we done this before? Like, has this been done before where we've taken money, just,
Well, to give you a parallel, we did it a couple of years ago with transportation. Where it was agreed at this table to put money into transportation to support an RTSF application that they had at the time. We failed with that application, but we were successful with the second version of that. We haven't determined where that is going just yet. But that money that was put in for that 1 year only is still sitting in a reserve fund.
cause it wasn't gonna have a huge effect. The implications on the budget currently, I'm all for what Ken's proposing, and I think it's a good idea because of what's happening there and the whole regional stuff, but in saying that, giving where we were with this budget and this, without that, might have brought it down a bit where it might have been sustainable to us to say, okay, we could maybe accept that. Now we're going right back to where we were, where for me, I don't think I would accept outside of Ken's the budget as it was before. I wouldn't be able to accept. So that's would be my struggle, if anything.
No, I'm gonna go Molly first, then Sam next. Ladies first.
So I would echo Denny's comments, like, I think it's an important project, but I am concerned about what that does to the budget in the end. This is why I'm glad you're sitting up there at the head of the table, John, and not me right now. Is it table this until we have the budget discussion and then revisit it? Like, I'm not sure what Robert's Rules of Order tells us we could do.
We can do
Just-
that.
Just
do that.
because I think it might it might be easier to have the conversation after we've talked about the budget to see where we are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I think you'd have to go through the motion of making it to table it, right? Because there's already a motion on the floor.
Yeah.
Well, you have, well, if you table it, then.
And, yeah.
I don't have a problem with sitting down and waiting until we talk to them, but.
Okay, I'm gonna go Sam. I wanna keep the discussion here
No,
going.
no problem, just short, I agree with Denny and Bonnie, and my question is, being a bit new here, it just seems a little fast. For me, just to something we haven't heard before, on a 5-minute discussion to approve $75,000, so I would far sooner talk about it. I would have thought that would have been talked about at, say, a committee of the whole meeting, in preparation for you to maybe make that motion at the next meeting or whatever. That's, for me, that's how I would never make a judgment on it, I guess. But I'm not against the project for the reason. I just haven't heard anything about it.
So, Mr. Chair, just for information, the intent here tonight is to distribute a budget for a public comment. It's not, we're not approving a budget tonight, we are distributing it. It does not preclude us from making modifications to the budget over the next. So we need a 45-day period for public. Now, before we can vote on it, which the notice of vote is here for October 22nd.
Right.
But that, that does not mean that the vote on October 22nd is for this particular version. We can make a change to it later, if that's what the board wants to do.
Yeah, that last night when we make the final vote. you can change. So, yeah. Councilor Bonnie, Bonnie was going to make a motion to table this, and is that where you? I would have, in order for us to table, I have to have a motion to second it. But Denny, do you want to speak more further on this? Or sorry, Steve.
I just had a question, maybe I missed what Paul was just touching on there, but if we approve to go to the public consultation tonight, start that 45-day period, and then make a significant change, do we have to,
Do we have
to start the period over again?
No, it does not reset. So the public consultation is to. The public, like, when I present to your councils, and simply presenting the version there, and I would give them the information that this could change. We're looking at a potential change.
Okay.
But this is not reset the 45-day period,
Okay,
because ultimately. The vote on the budget and the responsibility for the budget is the directors at this table.
mhm.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to table this. Did you want to table it just till after the discussion of the budget tonight? Is that what the idea, just to change the?
I would I would make a motion to table this till after we have the budget discussion and see where we end up at that point.
Motion to table this until after the budget discussion. Second that. If Steve Leo's second that. Question or comment on that motion? If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, okay, we're gonna go to number 2 tonight. This is the draft budget presentation, and we got Chris or Hollis.
And I'll do the budget, who does the finance. Okay, so I've given you in your packages a copy of the budget summary, as you see, and I have a presentation that's based on that. 27. So overall, our our operational budget is slightly less for 27 than it was in 26. This is based on the current budget as I have it. Total member fees are a little higher. The reason for that is the operational budget and capital are two different things. We anticipate we are planning for 2027 to be a very capital intensive year for us. And the reason for that is because we are back into construction phase of self-construction at the landfill. And the cell that we are constructing is larger than any that we've constructed before, where we would normally put 3 in a row, we are putting 2. We're doing that for economy of scale and some efficiencies to do that. So it is going to be a more expensive year next year. There's a couple of pieces of equipment that we need to purchase. I think it was a excavator. It was 305, the Volvo 305 maybe. And a couple of other minor pieces of equipment, as well as the self-construction. This is our self-construction years go in cycles. So there's an expensive year and then there's 2 less expensive years, or sometimes 3 less expensive years. But every so often there's 1 expensive year, and that is mostly because of the liner that we put down. It's a polyethylene, polypropylene blending liner, and then there's a leak detection area, there's another, it's a double liner system. It's fairly expensive because we're covering the equivalent of 5 to 6 football fields in this particular cell. So that's why there's a lot more capital for 2027 required to pay for that capital. We are paying for some of that out of operations, to do $735,000.
Exactly, yes.
And then the rest of it, we're going to take out of our capital reserve.
Terry, is there a minimum that the capital reserve must remain at?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I noticed it took quite a drop.
It is quite a drop, but this is the expensive year that we would, that's why we have it. So it'll cut it in half.
That was, went right down to 700, and what was it, 735?
That's out of operations. But our actual capital reserve fund is 3.2 million. And we're gonna use 1.5,
1.6 if you want.
1.6.
Yeah.
Of that 3.2. So exactly half of that capital reserve is going to pay for it. But that's because this is a supercell. And that's why we have the capital reserve there. So we don't have, we're trying to maintain some consistency. We paused just for Anthony because you weren't here a couple of years ago. We were facing a kind of a financial crunch at the time, and we were looking at a large increase in tipping fees. So what we did instead was we paused construction. We were well ahead at the time, and we felt that we had enough room there, so we don't have to keep building as quickly. So we do all the construction ourselves. So it meant a reduction in staffing, some changes there, and that's how we were able to maintain what we had. However, we can't not build forever. So we're at the point where we need to start building again.
Yeah.
We do not want to get into a situation where we don't have space. If something happens, we once in a while have some waste that comes to the landfill. It doesn't go into normal waste, and we have to put in a different pile just because of how it compacts. Example of that would be wharves. When they come, they don't compact very well. It's creosote of wood.
Yeah.
So we stick it in a different place where we do this for other. Anyway, they are way smarter at that than I am when it comes to building, placing waste and compacting and stuff. I'm not going to pretend I'm the expert there. We have people that do that. Anyway, I'm off track there. Point being, we need to have space available. We need to have insurance that it's there. If something does happen, if there's disastrous things happen, if there's floods, things like that can happen. It needs to be available for the region to make, it's an asset for the region to make use of some. So we got, long story short, we have to start building. So it's a big capital. So going through the budget by service area. Clearly, solid waste is the largest part of our the finances, followed by local planning. Year over year is a modest increase in local planning, just nothing more than inflation. You'll see solid waste services looks like less. It isn't necessarily, it's just because of the capital and how we're doing that. And then the rest of the services you'll see are fairly consistent. There was a drop in regional economic development. So the 26 budget for that was 715,000. The 27 budget, we had planned at 631. And community development is slight drop again. Tourism promotion is roughly the same. The actual member fees are going to be less for tourism promotion because we had a bit of a surplus going into that. Regional transportation, that's an in and out mostly. So we get money from Economic Social Inclusion Corporation that we give to Dial. It's the largest chunk of that, cooperative regional. So it's all fairly even with last year, except there was a couple of variances there in the overall budget. That does not translate exactly to member fees. Because last year we had the advantage of having a lot of surpluses in a lot of categories that were applied, which kept the member fees down quite a bit across the board. I don't have those this year. In fact, I've got a deficit in economic development that we have to contend with. And a couple of other very close to the line or zero numbers. So this is just a breakdown of corporate services, and corporate services are Clean, Chris, it's all of our normal stuff. We've reallocated a couple of resources to corporate that weren't corporate before, they were specific to. Example would be tourism, because he also does communications, things like that. That's why the budget looks larger, but there isn't more people and more stuff, it's just a reallocation. And then you'll see allocated to service areas here. That's how we allocate what those costs are. And that's how it makes up that corporate. We have to do that because corporate has no income. Corporate is just the overhead, the static overhead that's common across the organization. So solid waste, I already alluded to this, $2.3 million capital expenditure plan. There is going to be an increase in tipping fees from $98 to $101. Same as C&D's got $1. Across the board, we're doing basically a 3% increase. So that's Western Valley, that's forward tipping fees. We had a $224,000 surplus to go into 27 with. That is in contrast to the 700 and change surplus we had coming into 26. So that's one of the differences there. And capital plan, yeah, there it is, 735 from operations and 1.5 million, 1.57 out of the reserve fund. Important to note here at this point, there is no borrowing. We have no debt. And we intend to keep it that way. And there you can see the capital reserve fund was 3.2 million before we do that transfer. The revenue mix is interesting on the side, on the left side there. You can see where all the revenue comes from. 20% of it comes from residents. That's from the billing that I get from that you guys get. All of that is an estimate. Everything else I can tell you what the revenue is. What solid waste like we're I won't say guessing, it's a really close estimate based on history.
Yeah.
You know, if we get a bunch more for some reason, and that does happen once in a while, things happen. We'll get little blips, and you'll see that in my CEO report that we had a blip earlier this year from the wharf in St. Andrews. Those things happen. And once in a while, I mean, a couple of years ago, we did lose a major customer, a foreign customer, which we had to make. That's why we had to make those changes a couple of years to stop construction. That's why we had to slow down. So things do change, but all in all, it's fairly even, fairly steady on this. And this is a pretty good picture unless something dramatic happens. And local planning, not a lot different there in this budget. Unless if we do pick up a new client, this budget doesn't change. All that happens is that your member fees go down, so it spreads out more. That's all. It's exactly the same. If we get another one or not, or another two. But other than that, there's no operational changes planned for planning. There's no there's no, it's just kind of steady as she goes there and get through our rural plants. Cooperative and regional, for those that are wondering, that's the planning that happens in the planning department. It isn't specific to any one local government. So that would be, things they would do regionally that feed into, there's not a lot there. It's not a big amount, but I think, things like housing studies, we do with the region or things like that, but you feed into them. And these three services, economic development, community development, and tourism. Like I said, we had planned a change in economic development down. And we were trying to keep that number fees down because we are contending with a deficit in economic development for this year. So we dropped to 631 from last year's budget of 715. The community development is down slightly to 391. Tourism promotion up slightly, but your fees are actually going to be less year over year slightly, and that's the reason is we had a bit of a surplus for tourism promotion. And then transportation, public safety, and recreation. So transportation, $70,000 again. That's we get money from ESIC and we get the dial riding support from that way. Public safety committee, that includes our speed sign. So there's licensing costs and maintenance on our speed sign that is around the region. So that's buried in there, plus the public safety committee itself. And then the recreation sport and cultural infrastructure fund, $815,000 is slightly more. That is money that goes into our pool, and then you get back. Usually, depending on who you are, you'll get more of that back. And I have a breakdown included in the billing summary that is in the package that will show you how much you get back. With the exception of rural district and a little bit of funny shores, everybody actually goes up net positive there.
Did you want questions after when the motion made, or was some question as you're doing the presentation? Basically,
It's like digging out if you want.
okay. If there any questions on the presentation, so far, everybody being quiet, so I didn't know.
Trying to keep up with them.
Yeah. I do have fun, looking at the, maybe you haven't got to it yet, right? You're not completely done yet.
No, but ask.
Okay, the budget building summary, I'm looking at, it's the black number at the top there, that's what we're paying each one, right?
That's the darker number is the proposed 2027 billing.
So the number I'm kind of concerned about is community development is such a huge increase. In community development, can you just explain? This visual index, later anyway, why it's like a huge increase?
Last year, we had a big surplus going into that, I believe, if I go back and look.
Right,
Last year was an anomaly for community development, and that's really why.
it seems to be the one that seems to stick out the most in all of them.
It's a $30,000 swing year over year. We had a $26,000 surplus last year. And so we budgeted zero for this year. So there's 26 bad guy right off the bat. And then we had to bring in almost 3,000 in the deficit to 2027 from the 2 years prior for the rules. So that's almost 30K that year over year change.
Communities had to pay part of that. So it's the one I noticed, one of the bigger increases. Other than economic development. Yeah.
I presented in the billing summary, I know there's a lot of numbers on that page, but I wanted you to have a 5-year kind of history of what the billing has been for all of these things.
I just had a question on our rural district, local planning, and I'm not questioning the figure, I just want to know where it comes from. So 115,724. So we don't do a lot of planning, so is that mostly veterans? Is that what generates that number?
It's about half and half.
Half?
About half and half, yeah.
Okay, so, well, the planning is. Regional planning is 7,000. What's the difference between regional planning?
So rural district, the planning budget for rural district isn't actually any different than it would be for any other local government.
Okay. But, so the regional planning is different, is separate, then?
That's right.
Okay, so. 115,000, half and half. Um. Just seems a little out of line with some of the others that.
The way that the-
Much bigger areas, but that's okay. The other question is everything is generated by this figure per capita in the whole region, right? Not necessarily
Tax base.
the tax base, okay? And it has nothing to do with coming from it or get or any of those fees or anything.
Nope.
Okay.
What we do is we take, for instance, the planning, and this is similar to many of our services. We take our planning or a building inspection, what the cost is for us to run the
Yeah.
service. And then we split it up amongst the clients, which is all of you, by tax base.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. I was just wondering, out of curiosity, how relative that figure is to what actually happens in our district.
Yep, well, you have to have a rural plan, same as everybody else.
Yeah.
In fact, your background study is ready.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And it has to be administered is the other part. So planning, that includes somebody applying for a building permit, that includes checking zoning, all the kind of stuff.
Oh, okay, not necessarily planning for, when you, a new plan or.
No, this is all
But even the.
running that, the service with,
Maybe six.
like a.
Yeah,
That's like.
okay.
Julia.
Like 3%.
No, I was just wondering, curious.
Yeah,
That's what it is. The building inspection is literally just that building
Yeah.
inspection.
Okay.
Let's go Steve Byron, Steve, you have a question.
Yeah, I just know, like in the landfill, like the 3% tipping fee, but it's, for us, it's more than double.
Just looking at the 5 year.
Oh. I was looking at the budget
Oh,
summary.
it was fine.
27, yeah.
So, remember, this is just an estimate, so there's a reason for that, and the reason is. When the rural stuff was folded into St. Stephen.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, yes,
Originally, it was still run by rural district. All those contracts were still run there and then rebuilt, and it was a strange back and forth billing.
Yeah.
It had the same issue with Campbell. Like, that's what it is.
Eastern Charlotte had a big jump as well too.
Yeah.
Close to 60 grand,
On,
solid waste.
That's the estimate of tipping fees
Yeah.
it's not the monthly billing.
yeah, it could be the same thing, John, because you've got.
Yeah.
Because the contracts are expiring in the rural areas and then becoming the responsibility of the municipality. I don't know if that happened already in Bayside and Shamcook. It may have.
So what would be the reasoning behind ours going up? Almost 20,000.
Yeah, you have 20, yeah.
See?
18 actually.
All we do is we base it
No,
on,
19.
we base it on the tonnage that we're getting and create an estimate there. Again, these are estimates. If you don't bring us the garbage, we don't bill you for it, but. From what we're seeing, that's what it was.
There's a lot of garbage out in our rural area.
Yeah.
More than St. Stephen.
Yeah, it was a big.
So everybody's paying the same tipping fee now.
Yes.
All right.
So it's not an increase.
They didn't tell us that when they joined up.
Yeah, those numbers will be what they actually are based on the activity that your communities.
But what's happening is some of those collection contracts are expiring, and as they expire, they flip over to the municipality.
But it's good for us to ask the questions tonight.
Yeah.
Because I tell you why, when Hollis goes to meet with each council, he's gonna get the same questions again.
Yeah.
Absolutely, so he does get practice on this.
Yeah.
So ours has remained pretty close in the last 5 years, 110 to 115 in 5 years, so. Are those contracts gonna be changed or?
We don't do waste collection, so I don't know.
Okay.
That'd be a question for your local.
Yeah.
Or if it was a rural district manager.
Yeah.
When was the amalgamation? Was
3 years.
3 years?
3
years ago.
23.
Yeah,
23. Yeah, 3
Yeah,
years.
and 21, 23.
Yeah.
So
It was a 3-year term, so.
Yeah, so the only increase here is going to be $3 a ton. Well, that's 3%.
2%.
We'll give you all of your presentation. I just, everybody stopped for questions, but you can continue.
But you know what, that's fine.
No, that's good.
Oops. So I had a slide here on member fees, the summary, and you can see that the year over year 27 slightly more in local planning. Tourism is actually slightly less, economic development slightly more, but you can kind of see the magnitude of. Of how much the fees are in each service and what that is too. Transportation is almost nothing, public safety, you know, the lower amounts. That's all that is. So balanced budget. Total budget down 2.1, that's a little bit misleading, I will say that right up front. Because you remember fees are up. And. Okay,
Okay,
so
so,
we were at the end anyway.
okay, so the presentation is over, let's go at this point. If you still have further discussions, I'll have to entertain a motion to give those and vote on October the 22nd, 2026. To approve the 2027 budget and distribute a copy of the proposed budget to its members that are local governments and to the minister in accordance with section 28(1) of the Regional Services Delivery Act. I need a motion.
So moved.
Okay, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Sam. I'm used to saying you're.
You probably fan down.
And seconded by. Steve. There you go. So, okay, and we have a motion on the floor and a seconder. Okay, now we have further questions and comments. Bonnie, you want to go first?
Sure. Putting me on the spot there, though. I think I'm more comfortable with this budget than I was the one that was originally circulated. I think we're getting closer. My concern, though, is still on the member fees and the 9% increase. Simply because with the new property tax indicator, whatever we are doing with the province, I don't think the RSC fees are that significant a part of anybody's budget, but if we have to justify increasing our property tax rate above what the province is recommending, and the cost of living increase is 3%, but we've already got a 9% increase over here, we're already starting to skew the numbers a little bit from what we're gonna be able to do as municipalities without having to make that explanation, and I'm not sure I've explained that well. But that's, I guess I was hoping that our fees were gonna be closer to that 3%-ish cost of living increase. And I understand why they're not, but I think that we need to have a little bit more conversation about, is there a way we can get closer to 3%, is my own personal opinion.
So one of the, in case you're wondering why there's a significant change in economic development, as I already alluded to, we're not going to be doing the Southwest Business Summit such as it was. It was a really good event initially, but given the current economic situation, the current political situation, we didn't feel it was going to be appropriate. So we are going to do something that's effective, but on a much different kind of scale. And combine that with our tourism summit and do a little bit of that. We've got a new team now in those services, and I'm more than pleased with their works, and I'm confident they're going to come up with something probably just as effective, if not more so, for a whole lot less. So that's what we've done there. I'm not sure where else I can find money.
Question on the business summit. If you cut it out altogether, didn't have it at all, how much would we stay?
Well, that's what we did.
Okay, and how much was it?
Around 100,000.
18 or something like that.
Impacted
It's
to
one
one summit, yeah, it would be 110, 112.
Okay,
would be the end of it.
So we cut it out altogether, we saved 100. That's what you read your tag yesterday.
Yeah,
But I hesitate to say cut it all together. We're gonna do something, but it's just not gonna be that at all. It's gonna be completely different. It'll look a lot different scale.
in to back up your point though, in addition to cutting that. There was a net impact, we've talked about this, but there was a net negative impact year over year of $690,000 that came in to have to deal with this year that wasn't in last year. So when you, the change in surpluses overall was a $595,000 hit to the service commission, and the negative impact in deficits year over year for 2027 is another 94,000. That's 690,000 if you round to the nearest thousand that we've covered and then reduced further. I've worked in a lot of places and this place runs lean, and you get to a point where I understand you got another audience you got to speak to, but we've got to be able to deliver services too. I feel we're running really lean, and what a great team Hollis has built. They're professional, they care, they wear 3 hats. I don't know where we would find the whole of them.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go, Dave.
So, yeah, no, and I do agree with that, but I also agree with Bonnie that, and I don't know where or how we would get to the 3%. I don't think we're going to, but I don't think we can sustain or be at 9.6%. And
These change year over year, right? This year they could be down. That's hard for Dave.
And I think, and on a different note too, is going forward, I think no matter what the summit or how the summit looks like or what we call it, I think we have to have different measurements in place prior to measure the successes that it does bring or it doesn't bring. And if it doesn't bring it, then we probably have to get rid of them earlier. Yeah, I think 9.6%, and partially it's on me because when I heard 3% in our conversations, I knew it was with the tipping fees, but I was thinking when I heard 3% across the board, I was thinking across the board of everything, that was 3%, so that was stuck in my head. Then when I seen the numbers, I was like, these aren't adding up to 3%. So I don't know how we get there or how that's gonna look, but I think 9.6% or 10% is not, I struggle with it right now. That's just my own personal feeling.
You're looking at Steve?
Which Steve?
You're looking at, the one that's looking at me, Steve.
Oh, okay, sorry.
You're the one looking at me.
No, yeah,
Steve Bauer, you have the floor.
the first thing that came to my mind is the budget shows a -2% change. And we have a 10% increase, so I'm having trouble rationalize that, and I don't know if that's coming from the capital movement of operational funds into capital, or is that a surplus that's going on?
No,
What's how,
So this is
the
20%.
budget dropped because we're using less. We're paying for less capital out of operations. That's why the budget's less.
Okay.
We're taking more of surplus in order to cover our capital needs for next year. That's why there's that shrinking, and because solid waste dwarfs every other service, that makes that big of an impact. The 9% increase is only in member fees, and it's only because of what Chris has alluded to with their surpluses.
you're almost got almost $1 million, and
Yeah.
is that carried forward deficits?
The rules are, this is from 2 years prior, they have to come in, so these are the results of 2025. Which must have been good news that you took to your communities in that.
Last year was an extraordinarily good, this is the other thing, last year, and I said this to everybody, this is an extraordinarily good news budget.
Yeah.
Do not expect this in the future, because it was an anomaly last year, but the problem is, it looked great last year, but then like. We're back to reality, if you look at the 5-year average, which is why I have 5 years of billing there, we're under average.
No, I'm just thinking it must should we maybe find a way to smooth
Well,
that curve out so that.
yeah, hit break even every year and there's no surpluses or deficits.
That's a really good comment, and I'll tell you why. One of the reasons I have a full-time CFO now and somebody they're on the ball so that we don't come up with surprise deficits, and we have people. We have better reporting, we have better information to deal with for you guys.
Yeah.
And for me specifically. So that's. Yeah, this used to be a really simple organization because we used to have a landfill and a planning code. Wasn't so hard. it has grown exponentially more complicated. Now that we run 6 different businesses. And with different inputs from different government departments at different timing and different application timing, and then matching this fund and that fund, and then. Dealing with the whims of, like I said, I just got an email here today about this.
Yes.
Whatever this other
Yeah.
mystery thing is. So it's becoming a lot more complicated, so it's a good comment, and that's why
It is.
I needed more horsepower in our.
And the shock to your system, I get it, but year over year isn't the right comparison because of the way the accounting rules follow for this. You're bringing in deficits and surpluses from 2 years ago that come in, that had nothing to do with 2026.
Yeah, it's the same,
Right,
same as our water department.
Yeah,
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
this 9%, I can see where would be hard to take for anybody. So I guess my question is. What is the future bring is, do they have to look forward to 9% every year because of increased costs that are gonna keep escalating, or is it just because of 2 years ago? So next year, maybe that would help alleviate the conversation a little bit. What would you expect next year? I know it's hard to do that, but would you expect another 9% increase next year?
No,
So if you're back down to zero,
if you look at the 5-year average on billing,
Yeah.
and we're only talking about member billing, I'm not talking about the actual budget of the LLC, those are 2 different things.
Yeah.
So, but if you look at the 5-year average of billing, we are below average right now for 27. So I would look at this maybe should have charted that day, but last year was just like a spectacular anomaly. That I knew I was gonna be able to repeat.
I don't know, volume is.
I seem to remember a couple of years ago, maybe even the last couple, do we have reserve funds for any of these?
I wish I would use them.
How about this with the show?
It was.
It was,
no, it is, yeah.
but can we,
Well, I tell you what, actually, no. We have a planning reserve.
Second.
he says that they.
No, yeah.
So I might not
That's
be
what
able
you
to
meant.
bring down the member fees, say on economic development. But I might be able to offset, because I can't cross budgets, right? But I might be able to offset it. In a different service, so you get a better deal, but I need people to understand that if I do that this year, I'm not doing it next year.
that's right. No, my comment was gonna be, maybe we should incorporate an increased tipping fee annually just to keep ahead of that curve so that when things like this come along, it's a much smoother and more predictable path.
Yeah, did you say planning?
Mhm.
Yeah, there's an operating reserve
Mhm.
of 175.
Well, no matter where you increase it, somebody still has to explain
Yeah.
to their own constituents.
Yeah.
Whether it's your town or
Yeah.
my rural district.
But 3% a year over 3 years is a lot easier to explain than 9% after a 0%.
Yeah,
Yeah, the tipping fees, I absolutely agree, need to go up with inflation from this point forward.
But even if we looked at a 5% increase this year and a 5% next year, it levels it out a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little bit more,
You mean tipping fees?
no,
Overall.
Overall.
in
Yeah.
member fees overall.
Yeah.
We,
It does make it hard for you guys to go
But
back.
I can't
because it's
budget
not
that.
straight line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bringing them from 2 years ago in, and it's gonna do this. Like, I know it's bad news this year, but what did you say when we got all the surpluses that
Wasn't
year?
here.
No, I
didn't
know.
say
See,
it.
you're hitting it dead on the mark there.
Right, I mean,
I've been here quite a while
Yeah.
and I've watched these budgets go up and down. And basically, the previous year, if you have a surplus, which you really have no major control over, because all of a sudden you get an influx of tipping fees of material that's coming in. And then rather than, we went through this many times, rather than raise the tipping fees, we said, well, we're gonna live off the extra money that's coming in. And we did that. We kept the tipping fees for this region down year after year after year. And about 3 years ago, there was a point where we thought we were gonna have to raise the tipping fees like $30 in order to cover things. But we didn't have to do that. We found a way around it. But these are the vagaries that we deal with here at the commission. So although you may be looking at a 9% advance this year, probably last year was significantly less than that because we lived on the surplus from the previous 2 years.
It was actually decreased last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Year over year was a decrease.
Which is run rate was talking.
Oh, yeah.
So it's very difficult to, come up and say, okay, well, we're gonna avoid. If you say that and you say that you're gonna consistently raise 3% every year on everything. And then all of a sudden you get a massive influx of material comes in. Why would you want to penalize yourself by going with that 3% every year? Knowing full well that you're not gonna need it. You're gonna have surpluses. Even worse than what you had before. So you just we do our very best. When our auditors came in, they've audited us in the past. And they've highlighted the fact that we tend to underestimate and overachieve as far as the landfill operations go.
Yeah.
And that leaves us with surpluses. So over the last several years, we've tried to wean that down a little bit so that the surpluses aren't so great. And now we find ourselves looking at a 9% increase. I think this is an aberration, the 9%. I don't anticipate the same thing will happen next. Can't say that it won't. But it's rare that we have those kinds of consecutive types of increases.
If you compare 2027 budget that we're proposing to the 2025 budget and with the 2026 budget, it's a different story.
Any other questions or comments, Steve, Neil, and you haven't really spoken much on those.
No, I have kind of a general question.
Sure.
Again, going back to, well, it applies to everything, I guess, but like throughout the year, again, with the budget passed, does this table, and again, this is me being somewhat new, but do we then, like throughout the year, are we voting on how projects are being allocated or anything like that, or like?
Should contain most of it, unless it's something outside of our.
Well, that's what I'm. Right, so something like economic development with that business summit. Like if there was a proposal on the. Like, do we know where that $631,000 is going? Like to economic development? Okay. I guess that's what I'm missing. Maybe I'm just missing it, but
I am too.
like how it's allocated. Or how it's being used, or how we got to that number, apart from. Like advertising, sort of the large generalized sort of categories.
Yeah, so every month there's a report that you'll get from each department.
Okay,
In that report will contain all of the activities and things and where it fell.
okay. Okay, so we get that monthly?
Yep.
Okay,
And then at the end of the year, there's always the financial reports that you get every month as well.
Yep.
So that's gonna have a comparative income statement and quite often, I don't know. What plan I'm doing, but a balance sheet.
Yeah, once the budget's out of the way here, and I'm gonna build a nice monthly report that is easy to use, will lead to good questions, and you'll get that monthly.
okay,
So you'll have that as well, and then of course we do our own financial.
right.
They're the typical categories, Steve, that you like, personnel, materials, supplies, office, and overheads, they're the typical,
Contractors, studies,
Yeah.
consultants.
I don't just.
But there's no actual voting on any projects unless it's.
No, so that's what the strategic plan is. So then that's why we need to revisit that as soon as we're done with the budget process, because we are due for a strategic plan update. So the strategic plan. What you end up with it at the end, hopefully, of a strategic plan is my job description. To make happen, but that needs your input onto what exactly it is that we're gonna be doing. Within the parameters of, the mandates that we have to do. So that's where I feel, at the front end, you're going to determine what we're doing in each of these things. And just for the new folks in the room, the strategic plan that we have, the current 5-year one, is garbage. I'm just gonna be, and I don't think any other board member that was here is gonna disagree with me here. It was a rushed, terrible process, but we had to do it in order to get funding. It wasn't good. Wasn't good, so we wanna do it properly this time, we take it
That was
down.
brought up at the,
It was brought up in mayor's training.
maybe our mayor needs, that was very,
Yeah, it was an awful time.
Yeah,
It was an awful process. I lost control and I hated, you guys know me, I hated losing control of that process, but I had to because we were strategic plans for 6 different businesses at the same time in within 2 months, they were a month and a half or whatever it was insanity. Meeting after meeting after meeting, but it was just. So we're not doing that again, we're not doing that process again. I want this board to own the new strategic plan, to be comfortable with it, to this is, so you will have good understanding of it and supporting it. So at the end of that, you will know what it is that we're doing, and then when I come to you with the budget for 2028 next year. I'm building a budget based on what you tell me you want me to do in the plan.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor, but the Sam Walsh made it, but Steve Neal. Is there any other questions or comments on the before I take it to a vote? The motion is, and you want me to read it back, or you all have, I'll read it back for the. The motion is to give notice of the vote on October the 22nd, 2026, to approve the 2027 budget and to distribute a copy of the proposed budget to its members that are local governments and to the minister in accordance with section 28(1) of the Regional Services Delivery Act. That is the motion that we have on the floor. Any other questions or comments?
Just
Yeah,
one,
yeah, sure.
in light of the motion that we also have tabled in the conversation that we've had, I just want to make sure that we can continue to talk about and or review the budget up until October 22nd, is that the date? Just because I'm not sure we're all comfortable with where we are, but I know we also have to start the clock, and I don't want to see, I just want to make sure we have an opportunity to continue the conversation if we feel we need to.
Yeah, I think there's meetings in September, committee of the whole, and actually, in October, this committee of the whole. So we'll have more time to discuss and or change if you want to change in the budget.
And you could always, if we had to, you could always call a special meeting.
Right. Good. All right, no other questions or comments? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, that's passed unanimously. Okay, well, now we're on to the second part of the night, the one we tabled, and this is back in Ken, the economic development funding for McAdam. $75,000 for a study for the inland port.
Yeah, I think I probably caught you all off guard coming in with that. Well, if you don't mind, would it be possible to table this until the next meeting? And you will have more time to consider it. Perhaps after this open meeting is finished, I can talk more openly about why I'm coming forward with this.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to table this until next month.
Actually, technically, under our rules, you don't take tabling. It
Can't
means
table, we'd have to,
Yeah, so we're gonna table it until September,
You can't table it.
It's already been tabled.
till just table until
Yeah,
after.
but the tabling means it has to go to the same meeting.
So let's,
You have to
let's,
read me.
let's push it out
Yeah.
until the next meeting.
Yeah.
I don't mind doing it. Why don't we do that?
so I was gonna
I'm
suggest
not
the
in
same
conflict
thing.
with
Yeah,
any of
same
that.
thing.
No, and at that next meeting, would it be possible to, I don't know, maybe give us a little presentation as to like
Yeah.
what's actually being proposed, what this project, I don't know, give me a little background on the project,
Yeah,
you know, what benefits it's gonna have to the area
Yeah.
and.
What
I'd
I
like to
really
hear more
wanted to
about it,
do was
so.
get a placeholder today to bring it up, because it came up last minute with me. And that's why I came to you last minute. Normally I would never do things this way. But
We have
I
till
think if
October
we,
now.
if we
Yeah.
push it out 2 weeks, I'm more than happy to do that.
I think it's good. The placeholder is a good idea. And I think that's also, it sounds like a good project because I think there's a lot of cooperative and.
That's it,
Well,
I'd
I
like to
think-
hear more about it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I heard a bit about it. when the speaker from the fourth was there and some of the rhetoric that, he was, talking about, so I've got an idea what you were after there, but it just, you said yourself, it came as like, but it's Friday tonight, so 2 weeks from now to discuss it, and with a presentation, I think you'd have a lot more, it would be a lot more favorable with that.
If that's the case, then there's no motion required at this point, so, we just move it.
It's just tabled and we'll leave it till a couple of weeks, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
just put it on the agenda, right?
yeah, this is what I do. I think it's a great opportunity for McCadam. I think it's great. This could actually be a game changer for McCadam.
For the region.
Well,
Like you
yes,
said, it
yes,
has spin-offs, yeah.
For the whole reason, absolutely, 100%. So at this point, we're gonna go to staff reports and I'm gonna do these solid things.
Okay. So solid waste, the landfill advisory committee was held on July 14th. Next committee meeting is gonna be November 17th. At the landfill itself, they're just doing more subgrade for 14A, 14A being the big cell that we are working on, and that's gonna be our next in the line install. The committee, there's a committee report attached. Water treatment, we have our typical compliance reporting, there's nothing really to report there. They are looking at, one of the upgrades is on our treatment system, which is also in our capital plan. So there's gonna be some new aeration, modules like the bubblers and that type of thing, they're wearing out like they do. Also talking about going to VFD drives, which will save us some efficiency in the battle. And there's some more reporting on the under drain, self-destruction. And that's about it for solid waste.
Question or comment from all sides? We'll down and move ahead to local, local and regional plan.
Okay, there's planning reports included in your package. It is small uptick in some development across the region year to date compared to 25. And you'll see the total building permits are at 229 year to date, and development subdivision approvals are 309. Construction values at 44 million and 139 dwelling units so far this year. Not too much else to report there. BRAC met for their regular meetings. So 3 terms and conditions, 8 variances, 6 subdivision applications, give technical planning views to councils on some rezonings and some public streets. We are still looking for an additional committee member for our BRAC committee. You want to speak to that, second?
Well, didn't Harvey, thought Harvey, talked to me about that at the last meeting and said he had somebody down there that.
Yeah.
And that would be the suburban region that's not filled right now.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything since then.
Okay, maybe we can, I don't know, reach out to him. We've had problems with, we've advertised and everything, anything like that thing, but. He did tell me that he was, whoever we had in mind for, that he was gonna speak to him again, or what it was, so. That's what all I can say with that. I just had a question on the housing units, is that? That the apartments?
So.
So that doesn't seem like a lot for what's going on here, but some of them were maybe registered last year.
Could be. This is completed. So there's stuff that is under construction now, it wouldn't.
This, okay, so this will be for 2026. Because I thought that the one in St. Andrews, I thought that could finish, that would have had 42 or 46 units in it.
One on Water Street.
Water Street's done.
No, on
On 27. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's been done for a bit.
But wasn't last year that opened? Yeah, it's time goes by.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
It feels like it's been longer than that, but it might have been last
Yeah.
year, yeah.
So that, this 139 seems a little bit low, but anyway, that's curiosity, I guess.
We're at 66 this year.
Yeah. Yeah, more than that, actually, you got the one in Meltown too, right? Is that
Yeah.
finished or
No,
don't have any in that, but
no, and the dots would have finished.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to open in early next year,
How many's in that?
66.
on a normal year, 139 is pretty good. If you're just looking at houses and so on, but so. It's not bad at all.
All right, there's no other questions on that. We're gonna move to regional economic and workforce development.
Okay, in my workforce development, 221 job openings in the region during August. They had a free HR training session July 29th. There's 26 employers attended that. There is another regional economic job fair scheduled for October 8th, Carson Center. There's a new Pay Transparency Act. I don't know enough about that. I had an HR expert, you know. And under investment readiness, Deputy Minister of DNR, other counterparts discussed the George Mine and initial connections to the Academy Inland Port Project. This is what we've been talking about a little bit. She's met with ONB, discussed some priority investment areas for our region, which includes manufacturing, agri-food, aquaculture, fisheries, defense, Coast Guard, border security, alternative energy, and tourism and ecotourism. Industrial site database being created for more than 400 zoned industrial sites across the region. So that includes location, building footprint, lot size, because we do get the suppliers from time to time. And my understanding is that OMB wants to be a little more structured in those inquiries rather than random. We need a place like this. So I think they're looking for better data and information from us. So they can tap into that easier. October 24th, there's a October 21st, sorry, there's another workshop coming up for an immigration workshop, back to basics. To support employers that are looking for trying to navigate some recent immigration changes. PHRS has provided HR support to 21 companies so far this year. That's one of our contracts that we have under our mandate for our working in B contract. Assisted with home support services, their business with those who bring the initial model. That's going to be a great good thing to get that off the ground.
And that's gonna be a huge.
Yeah. Yeah, so anything we can do to support that. All that off. And the Economic Development Working Group, that was July 29th. So that is different than the advisory committee. The working group would be all the people working in economic development in the region. So that would be from Synergy to Eastern St. Stephen to Eastern Charlotte and the other personnel like that, as well as OMB, working to be all the folks in that field. So Brianna said organize that, and those meetings are happening. She does have a recommended motion here, and some changes to the advisory committee. The Economic Development Advisory Committee membership be approved with the addition of Chris Harlan, Paul Logan, Jay Turner. You can read about the changes there. And so she has a kind of a final list of what that looks like. This is the advisory committee, not the working group.
So we have a motion, we need a motion. The Economic Development Advisory Committee membership be approved, which is you have there in front of you. I can read out each name if you like, which I will do. And then there'll be additions of Chris Harlan, Paul Logan, and Jane Turner. So from Eastern Charlotte, Council of Eastern Charlotte is Mike Thompson, president of the St. Stephen Chamber, Rebecca Smith. Chris Harlan is representing the president of the Eastern Charlotte Chamber. Sheena Young, business owner of Deer Island, and Lori is a counselor for where?
Fundy Shores.
Just name that out.
The one on the bottom should be off.
Okay, Harvey Matthews, mayor of Campbell, Jane Turner, business owner of Grand Banana Island, Daryl Weir, counselor of St. Andrews, Don Doherty, business owner of Macadam, Paul Logan, president of the St. Andrews Chamber of Commerce, and you said the last one
Yeah,
is,
the
so
end of
so,
that.
so we'll take that last one off for this motion,
Mhm.
okay? Okay, so I need a motion for that.
Also,
Yeah, okay. Kevin? And seconder for that. Okay. Steve, Neil? Question or comment on that motion? All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, that's passed. Okay, go ahead. Next.
That is the report, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
Before we move over, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to give a shout out to Brianna Cowan for all the work that she's been doing. It's a great addition to the team.
good. That brings us to the regional community development.
So in community development, weekly newsletters got 200 subscribers, community development lunch and learns he's changed only 5 more of them for this fall. Some workshops coming up. There's going to be a board governance training on October 24th with Sarah Lavelle. Those are really good with her. So if you have a nonprofit, so it's, she's excellent. It's the resource fair in September 12th. So we're working with people on this one. So this isn't how we're going. If it's the same one that I have a poster for, I included. Yes. So that's this poster here. It's in the package. So this isn't actually our event. I just want to be clear there. But we're just kind of helping out. This is a kind of a joint effort by a few organizations around. It's a first time for it. It looks really interesting. The food resilience coordination phase 1 project's on hold for now. Several other things there. Remember, transportation, which we kind of wrap up with community development, even though it's a separate thing. They have a new executive director, Jeannie. Jeannie used to work there as a dispatcher, and so she seems to be transitioning well. They are going. They're as busy as they can be. And for those that weren't aware, the previous executive director unfortunately passed away suddenly. So we sent some condolences to Julie and her family. And as far as the Rural Transit Solutions Fund application, we are still. The next steps there are to assemble that transportation committee, advisory committee. We get some recommendations for this board. Then we're going to have some meetings around this board table about what we're doing there and where that money's going to go. And it's about most of what I have to report. There was a meeting on June 4th, and then you can read that there. Most of that has been reported on since.
Just a note on shot down, right, one of their volunteers, Frank Ferguson, really down, he's doing great work. I see him doing his videos and really, his last video, really, I had people in my area, didn't realize. Oh, everything broke down, right, he made that video, I had people making comments on, geez, I didn't know that, so he really did the job promoting Dial-A-Ride through his videos, so, yeah, I've seen him out there. Taking people different places, over to Grand and sort of things. So he's really a great volunteer for the Dial-A-Ride.
But that van is really kind of added to the visibility.
Yeah.
And that van is what you guys gave me, so.
Yes, that's right.
I was gonna ask the question, was in the van here the other day, so that's the one that Dial-A-Ride. So is it based here or was it just parked for the other day?
It's based, Frank mostly drives that one.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
it never shuts off either.
Never.
You said no transportation committee yet, the one must be formed.
No, we need to, yeah,
Okay.
well, there was one, but we need to revitalize what we had in the
Mark began for that.
I met Frank at the Grand Ferry Terminal. He goes, "Hi, John, I didn't recognize you, I haven't seen you for a few years, but he's doing awesome work for you." All right, and I think it's doing these type of videos really gets it out there more. And I haven't seen those type of videos promoting right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a great idea. Awesome, I think.
There's not a lot out there on it. A lot of people don't.
Yeah, that's what I found too. I found when I was campaigning at a seniors complex, people were asking about transportation. I said, "Well, you never heard dial right?" And they never heard of it. But so we did this type of thing and get them getting out to these seniors complexes would be a good idea too.
For sure.
But what dial right does for the area is tremendous. Can't speak enough, good about it. So. I got us off track. Okay, regional tourism promotion.
I did a question for community development, but I'm not sure. No, I think it probably would be for clothes.
Yeah, I think I know the question you're gonna ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw it on there too.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so should I just wait?
yeah, we'll wait, yeah, we'll have to go with that. So.
Okay.
It's a question Bonnie asked.
Are you adding the first session to the end of
I
the?
think probably a good idea, is we're gonna have to you have to add that to the agenda?
Yeah, I didn't have it on the agenda, so.
Yeah, we've already passed the agendas, we can't actually add it then. Do we add it now and after, since we've already
I
passed
mean,
it?
I don't think so, it's leaving.
My rules, if you can't. And there's a different-
So it can just be an off.
Yeah,
Normal.
yeah, we can just have an
Conversation and then bring it up whenever
Yeah,
it's
so-
needed, but
I know the question.
it might be an oversight or.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, regional,
So in regional tourism, Steve's away. Somebody to get a report. So what I did.
Why I haven't seen any videos from them? My God.
So what I did was I took some screenshots of where, TikTok and Facebook maybe, but it gives you the stats of some of the videos that he's got out there. He is getting some serious traction on, all the platforms. These are not obviously all the videos, but. He's had a couple that, like 85,000.
34.
59,000, 99,000. He's getting quite a bit of traction.
That was his
Critical
kayak.
platforms on this stuff, and it's. Seems to be hitting the mark. He says you can't go anywhere without somebody say, "Hey, you're the guy from the videos." But it seems to
Oh, yeah?
be doing extraordinarily well.
Yeah.
We are getting a lot of feedback from it. It's all good. But behind the scenes, he's not just the guy that does videos. That's not what he does. I mean, he does do that, but there's a number of other things that he has been talking with Boards and NB and with Board of Heritage Culture. So there's a lot more to it than just continuing open with the videos that he does. That's all that you're going to see publicly is.
That's tourism promotion. So I think he's doing a great job at it.
doing a great thing. CEO report.
My typical report, you'll see, monthly waste totals, and you'll see that the effect of that one bullet when we're talking about a fourth in solid waste, and that happened to us in like March, April, when they were bringing us that work, so you can see how they bumped it up for the rest of the year, and that's working those graphs. Those things happen once in a while. And planning files, I have a different version of the stats of planning files here, but 317 building and demolition permits and development permits, 176, and sign permits. And I always include the statistics from our website. I do want to point out something about this graphic, these statistics from our website. You will see a significant peak there for a couple of times. That's not actual traffic. That was actually I won't say a fact, but it was a weird, there's an AI scrape, is what it was. That'll happen sometimes. Our AI engines are scraping the web for data and so forth. It was hitting us pretty hard. I went in, I looked and where it was coming from, but that was the agent. So sometimes we'll throw your stats out. So other news budget presentations I already got booked for Fundy Shores, St. Stephen, Grand Manan, Eastern Charlotte. I don't have any booked for St. Andrews, so if you want me down there, let me know.
We do.
And anybody else, if you want me to go up and look at them, let me know.
I will have you up, I just don't know when it's gonna occur.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'd come back, Sam, to rural district, if you wanted to.
Probably, Darren would wanna look at that too, so.
Yeah.
I'll give him a shout and see. Well, I guess everybody would come in there and myself and probably should. So I'll give Darren a shout.
Well, I usually don't have to go for that meeting. So next, and I need to clarify this for everybody here. September 3rd is the roundtable meeting with Minister Kennedy. It is at the landfill office. It is not in Florence.
You're talking for a day trip, man. Um,
You had your bag off.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, in on meeting now.
Amsterdam Inn.
At the Amsterdam Inn in Forestville.
Floresville, yeah.
No, it's
Great
at
mileage on that one.
3 o'clock on September.
At the landfill.
Yes.
You know, one of us is still gonna end up in Florentville.
Someone's gonna end up here instead of Winterfield Hills.
I'll send out an email reminder. Somebody got hired.
Please
He's not
do.
here.
Yeah.
People drive the Florence.
Yeah, forget that, yeah.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Oh.
You're gonna ask a question,
Yeah.
I told you not to.
I did have a question though.
So these meetings with Minister Kennedy, generally, he wants to hear from you guys, and he wants success stories, but he also wants to hear any concerns and things like that about their regional stuff, so I think it's a good opportunity, and he does. My experience with him is that he does listen, and he's like pretty down to earth in terms of having a minister there, so.
It is definitely minute, let's do it with it.
Yeah, Charbel will be there, I think a couple of the others from the department will be there too.
Just a question on your budget presentation, that's gonna be the draft that's there.
Whatever I have approved by you guys.
But not after the community. This is before the community. Before the 45 days is that
Yes.
for community,
Yeah.
okay. All right,
Get it, any,
I don't wanna
any,
get
any questions?
confused with that, and I tell it there and there, so,
Yeah.
okay, so it's the same as this or whatever we
Yeah.
approved.
Okay,
So I did have a question on community development, the committee report. Just the scratch where it has absent Deanna Bent. Oh, it's simple. That should have been Rachel Clark. She should be invited to those. She's on the committee now. Deanna's not.
okay.
So it just showed her she wasn't invited and Deanna was and showed her as absent. But that's because she's not on the committee.
Okay.
We just scratch Deanna and just make sure he has Rachel Clark in as. Or community development.
Perfect.
What's it?
Anything else on the CEO report? I think we had a couple, all right?
I do want to let you know, I have scheduled the CAO, CEO regional meeting. September 21st, the first one. You asked about that last time.
Yes.
Actually, that came up in the roundtable, at the mayor's school, so.
September 23rd, did you say 23rd?
21st.
At what time?
That's what it says in the report anyway.
I need it
I think I have it one.
Yeah, and it was all made a vote.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, okay. I don't have to remind anything, but.
Yeah, that actually came up, who was it, that brought it up? It was somebody from the service commission?
One of the other CEOs that was there.
Yes, yeah. So said that that's what they do, that it needs to be as well.
I think it was Phil, maybe. I think it was Phil from the funding commission. maybe.
Sounds like.
Yeah, then he's like, that we're doing it now.
We're trying to do it,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
All right,
Anything else? No, we're good, okay. That brings us to, we have to wait a second, second.
While we're waiting for Danny, there's a summary income statement on the back of this package. Is that on the agenda or is that just?
I think that, yes,
Financial.
yeah, the financial report, yeah, yeah.
An awful one question.
Alright, better wait. No, wait, Danny.
Any movement on a public safety committee? Is that gonna get started again?
It's going to get started soon, yeah.
Are you,
Don't ask me specifics, but
yeah, I was gonna say, you're looking to pare it down, I'm assuming though, like,
it definitely will. I was hoping to get one, the first meeting done in September.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get that done, but at least, in the first part of October, you know,
Yeah.
things. September's always on one too.
All right, now we can start again.
But you just have a,
we were waiting
for.
we just volunteered to
Comment
approve what you said.
to everybody here, the RCMP has invited you all for dates for the presentation.
Yes.
They gave us Southwest Rural District their sailing in Drexel, so you'd be well advised to listen to it. It's a big improvement over a lot of things, and especially communication, so
Yeah, awesome.
yes, it was good.
We had a good episode on CHCO too.
Yeah, they did,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, Jeff Peters and.
Yeah, ours is September meet for the.
Well, they sent three the other night. Chris Henderson came, Jeff came, and
Yeah.
Pierre.
Yes.
Yeah, so they had three of them there, and they all had different topics to.
Yeah, I've got them on October actually.
It was really good.
Financial report.
Well, great. I'll do it before again if you will soon.
Yeah. So the last page, and as I alluded to earlier, guys, going forward, so. I'll have a new format for August, it'll have more detail for you guys and. You'll receive it timelier than just now, once the budget's out of the way and get my focus. But just the highlights of where we are as the end of July. Overall, we're tracking to have a surplus right now of 908, almost $909,000. That'll dwindle down as we get later in the year, as the landfill, some more expenses start coming in and continuing construction, that'll come down. What next month's report and going forward will do is, by the end of August, I'm gonna be able to be fairly accurate how we're gonna end the year. So I wanna share that with you guys, how we're looking for surpluses and deficits, so that let's reduce these surprises that we have to see in our statements. So just quickly, so of the 909,000, 876 right now is the landfill. Really, we've got about, I'm gonna say 3,700 unplanned tons came in between the ICI category and C and D. So that's almost $400,000 that came in, so that speaks to that. And also we've got some expenses that we'll pick up later in the year, right, as we continue, so that'll come down, but I'm still projecting we'll have a bit of a surplus in solid waste, which local planning, there's nothing major there, it's just some timing differences between invoices coming in and grants. So the deficit right now that I'm projecting of 22,000, that'll go away, and we're gonna work to as close to break even on the rest of these categories as possible. As Hollis alluded to earlier, the solid waste one is hard to predict because it's activity driven. Regional tourism, again, timing, we've got some money in and we're waiting on the expenses, and due to the rules, it's not booked yet. I don't think there's anything on there, guys, that's out of the ordinary for our operations. Professional fees under regional tourism. So there is it looks like we budgeted about $25,000 for some professional fees, data analytics stuff that hasn't come to fruition, and I don't think maybe it will. It was in the budget and they're working toward that, but there's nothing.
I wouldn't count that out yet.
Okay, yep, so well, that's great, then that'll bring us closer to zero. But yeah, so really, guys, just overall, it's regular business as usual, but going forward, you'll receive much better detail and in time to have questions.
Just to plant the seed, I guess.
Yeah.
If the surplus persists, we had stated in the past, and Hall's correct me if I'm wrong. But I think we've stated in the past, as we have these surpluses.
Yeah.
Rather than carry them over the entirety of it, we take a portion of that and rebuild our capital reserve.
Yes,
So that'll be for discussion as we move in closer to the end of the year.
okay, perfect. Yeah, that was we did discuss that internally the other day as well, that had happened in the past, so fair enough. Yeah,
Can I
yeah,
just ask
absolutely, sure.
what the anomaly is there with the public safety committee?
Public safety. Yeah, so it's
Budgeted
50.
3,000 and we're dealing with the 50s here.
It's 50. Oh, sorry, versus budget, yes, you may.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's, the Fire Smart program ended up, had to go in some categories.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, sorry.
Okay,
Yeah,
That percentage scared you?
a little bit.
1500%.
yeah, sorry, Steve, I should have pointed that, because it's a small overall dollar, I did, yeah, no fair.
Percentage.
The final sort of, payment to us and then payment to the contractors this year, that's why.
Yeah, okay. Makes more sense now.
Good pick up something.
Speaks to why you'll have more detail next week. so.
No problem.
Okay, that brings us to question and answer with public, I just want to bring up upcoming meetings for the 3rd, 10th. It's actually, we have written on your sheet 23rd, it's not 23rd, it's the 24th. So just change that on the calendar.
Say that again, Joe?
Yeah.
Your meeting,
September-
coming up is September the 3rd, September the 10th, and September the 24th.
Okay.
While we're looking at the Q and A from the public, I do like the financial statement at the back, like with the surplus and deficit, I think that'll be helpful.
It will, yeah. Maybe I can I'll shoot you what I'm thinking for a format, yeah, yeah. Cause I want it to be helpful, it's for you guys to, yeah.
So we have 3 meetings in September.
Well, the one next week is the roundtable with Mr. Kennedy, so it's
Oh, okay.
and that's at the Hotel Beaujeu and.
You got your backpacks, so you have a rental out somewhere.
I'll pick you up and say you're.
There's nothing from the public.
Nothing for the public, so at this point I need a motion for adjournment.
So move.
That was quick.
Yeah, thank you.
Somebody's got a boat to catch.
Stand tonight.
Didn't come over on Saturday, I was supposed to go whale watching.
What was the?
And-